So you're making $70,000 a year, no credit card debt, no car payment, student loans paid off, and somehow you still can't afford to go out to dinner without checking your bank account first. You've got maybe $3,000 saved up, and the idea of buying a house, that's not even a conversation you're having with yourself anymore. That's a fantasy. Here's the thing that's keeping you up at night. You did everything right. You followed the rules. You got the degree, landed the decent job, paid off the debt, and you're still living paycheck to paycheck. So what the hell happened? My name is Elon Musk, and I spend way too much time thinking about why middle-class Americans feel than ever despite doing everything they were told to do. If you're someone who makes what should be good money, but still feels like you're barely getting by, make sure to hit that subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up if this helps you out. Because what I'm about to show you isn't just about inflation or rising costs. It's about a fundamental shift in how money works in America that nobody's talking about. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. Look, let's start with the basics. $70,000 a year. In 2026, after federal taxes, state taxes, and FICA, you're taking home about $52,000. That's $4,300 a month. Now on paper, that sounds like it should be enough, right? Let me show you where it actually goes. Average rent for a one-bedroom apartment in a mid-sized American city, $1,800. And no, I'm not talking about Manhattan or San Francisco. I'm talking about places like Austin, Denver, Charlotte, cities where people actually live and work. According to 2025 rental report, the median one-bedroom in these metros is sitting right around $1,800 to $1,900 a month. So we're already down to $2,600. Groceries for one person. The USDA's moderate cost food plan for 2026 says about $400 a month. But here's what most people don't realize. That's if you're cooking every single meal at home, buying generic brands, and never throwing anything away. The actual average American spends closer to $550 when you factor in the occasional takeout and, actually enjoying food. $2,100 left. Car insurance, health insurance premiums, phone bill, internet, utilities, gas. Let's be conservative and say another $700 combined. And yes, I know you're thinking, but you said no car payment. We'll get to that in a minute because that's where it gets really interesting. $1,400 remaining. Now you might be thinking, okay, $1,400 a month, that's not terrible. That's money I can save, invest, build wealth with. No, because we haven't talked about the invisible expenses yet. Here's what kills people making $70,000. It's not the big expenses. It's what I call the participation fee for modern American life. You need to look professional for work. That's clothes. Maybe $200 a year if you're thrifting, but realistically $400 to $500 for most professionals. Haircuts, another $300 a year. These aren't luxuries. These are requirements to keep the job that pays you $70,000. Your car breaks down. Even if it's paid off, you're looking at $1,200 a year in maintenance and unexpected repairs on average, according to AAA. And that's being optimistic. Want to see your family for the holidays? That's a plane ticket. Maybe therapy once a month because, let's be honest, we're all trying to hold it together. That's another $200 even with insurance. Here's the math. You had $1,400 left. These participation fees eat up about $250 a month on average. Now you're down to $1,150. And we still haven't talked about actually living your life, going on a date, buying a birthday present, getting your teeth cleaned, replacing the laptop that's been dying for 6 months. This is where it gets really interesting, because this is where the psychological shift happens. See, your parents, if they were middle class, they didn't have this problem. And it's not just about inflation. It's about something deeper that changed in the American economy. In 1990, someone making the inflation-adjusted equivalent of $70,000 could buy a median home for about 3 times their annual salary. Today, that same home costs 6 to 7 times your salary. According to the Federal Reserve, the median home price hit $420,000 in late 2025. Do the math, that means you'd need a down payment of $84,000 for 20% down, or you're paying PMI on top of an already unaffordable mortgage. But here's what most people don't realize. This isn't just about housing. It's about how this reality rewires your entire relationship with money. When you know that saving is functionally pointless, when you know that even if you save $1,000 a month for 7 years, you'll still be nowhere close to affording a home in any city with actual jobs, something breaks in your brain. You stop thinking long-term because the long-term feels impossible. Psychologists call this learned helplessness. Economists call it rational pessimism. I call it the reason why people making $70,000 order DoorDash 3 times a week. Look, if the dream is dead anyway, why not have the tacos? And before you come at me with personal responsibility and just make a budget, I need you to understand that this isn't about discipline. This is about a fundamental shift in the American economic contract. Now you might be thinking, okay, but $70,000 is still more than most Americans make. Median household income is only about $75,000. Right, and that's exactly the problem. You're making what should be a comfortable salary, but you're surrounded by people who seem to have more than you. And here's the thing, they probably don't. They're just better at hiding the debt. According to the Federal Reserve's 2025 Consumer Credit Report, the average American with a credit score above 700, these are responsible people, is carrying over $8,000 in credit card debt. Car loans average $35,000 over 5 to 6 years. People are financing vacations on credit cards and payment plans. What you're seeing on Instagram isn't wealth, it's debt with good lighting. But your brain doesn't know that. Your brain just sees everyone else going on trips, driving new cars, eating at nice restaurants, and asks, why can't I do that? I make $70,000. And the answer is you can do that. You just have to borrow tomorrow's money to pay for today's life, which is exactly what everyone else is doing. This is where we need to talk about the real villain in this story, because it's not what you think. The problem isn't that you're not making enough money. The problem is that the entire American economy has restructured itself around the assumption that you'll go into debt. Corporations used to pay employees enough to afford their products. Henry Ford famously paid his workers enough to buy the cars they built. That was the deal. You work, you get paid, you can participate in the economy. That deal is dead. Now the model is, we'll pay you almost enough and you'll make up the difference with credit. You'll finance the car. You'll put the furniture on a payment plan. You'll carry a balance on your credit card, and we'll make more money off the interest than we ever made off the products. The Federal Reserve reported that Americans paid over $130 billion in credit card interest alone in 2025. That's not money going toward building wealth. That's not money going toward goods and services. That's just pure profit extraction from people who are trying to live a normal middle-class life. Here's what most people don't realize. The system needs you to feel broke, because if you felt financially secure at $70,000, you wouldn't borrow. And if you didn't borrow, the entire economic model collapses. So we get marketed to constantly. We get told we deserve that vacation, that new phone, that nicer apartment. We get told we're being too hard on ourselves if we don't treat ourselves. And slowly, incrementally, we start believing that it's normal to never actually have money. Look, everyone talks about inflation, but they talk about the consumer price index, milk, eggs, gas. Yeah, those are more expensive, but that's not what's killing you. What's killing you is the inflation and the things you need to build wealth. Home prices up 47% since 2019. College education up 180% since 2000. Healthcare, don't even get me started. The average employer-sponsored health insurance premium is over $8,000 a year, and that's with your employer covering most of it. Meanwhile, wages, they've increased about 25% in that same period. Do you see the problem? The things you need to survive got a little more expensive. The things you need to thrive became completely unaffordable. And this creates a trap. You can't save enough to invest because the cost of basic life is too high, but you can't build wealth without investing. So you stay stuck, making what seems like good money, feeling broke, and wondering what you did wrong. The answer is nothing. You did nothing wrong. The game changed and nobody told you. So what do you actually do with this information? First, you have to accept that the old advice doesn't work anymore. Just buy a house to build equity doesn't work when houses are unaffordable. Just save 6 months of expenses doesn't work when saving that much takes years. You need new strategies for a new economy. Here's what actually works. 1. Maximize every tax-advantaged account you can access. 401k, HSA, IRA, these are the only ways left to build wealth that the government hasn't fully captured yet. Even if it's just $50 a month start, the tax savings alone make it worth it. 2. Ruthlessly audit your subscriptions and automatic payments. I'm serious, sit down with your bank statement and add up everything that comes out automatically. Most people are spending $200 to $300 a month on subscriptions they forgot about or don't use. That's $3,600 a year. That's an IRA fully funded. 3. Accept that you cannot afford everything, and that's okay. You have to choose. You can't have the nice apartment and save for retirement and go on vacations and eat out regularly. You just can't, not on $70,000. Pick the 2 things that actually make you happy and cut everything else. I know that sounds harsh, but it's reality. 4. Get a side income stream. I hate that this is necessary, but it is. Whether it's freelancing, consulting, a small business, or even just selling stuff you don't need, you need additional income sources. The W-2 job isn't enough anymore. It just isn't. 5. Move if you can. I know this is complicated and not everyone can do it. But if you're in a high cost of living area and you can work remotely, consider moving to a lower cost area. The difference between $1,800 a month rent and $1,200 a month rent is $7,200 a year. That's life-changing money. Now look, here's the hard truth that nobody wants to say out loud. For a lot of people, $70,000 isn't enough anymore. It should be, it used to be, but it's not. And you have three options. Option 1, accept it. Live within your means, cut everything possible, save what you can, and accept that your lifestyle will be more modest than your parents' was at your age. Option 2, go into debt. Live the lifestyle, put it on credit, and hope that your income increases faster than your debt does. This is what most people choose. It's also usually how people end up declaring bankruptcy in their 40s. Option 3, increase your income. Get the better job, start the business, develop the skills that command more money. This is the hardest option and not everyone can do it, but it's the only one that actually changes the game. I know none of these options feel good. I know you're sitting there thinking, but I shouldn't have to choose. I should be able to have a normal life on $70,000. And you're right, you should, but should doesn't pay the rent. Here's what I need you to understand. Feeling broke on $70,000 doesn't make you bad with money. It makes you aware of reality. Most people making your salary are either lying to themselves or lying to their bank. You're just seeing clearly. And seeing clearly is the first step to actually building wealth. Because once you understand the system, you can stop playing by its rules. You can stop comparing yourself to people who are drowning in debt. You can stop believing that you're failing because you can't afford what everyone else seems to have. You can stop making financial decisions based on what you should be able to afford and start making them based on what you actually can afford. That's not giving up, that's winning a different game. The old American dream is dead, but that doesn't mean you can't build something new. It just means you have to be smarter, more intentional, and more ruthless about what matters than any generation before you. And if you found this helpful, make sure you're subscribed because I make videos like this every week breaking down the financial realities nobody else wants to talk about. Hit that thumbs up, drop a comment letting me know your biggest financial struggle, and I'll see you in the next one. You've got this, even when it doesn't feel like it.